The NFL Divisional Playoffs are this weekend. Let's pick all 4 games. And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Law2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. Quick reminder, we go live every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Come on down and join us for all the fun. All right, so last week we went 3-3 with our picks straight up. I did make a late change. If you did watch last week, I switched my pick to Tampa Bay once I found out that A.J. Brown would be out of the game last Monday night. So went 3-3, and now we're on to the divisional round. Some would say the best football weekend of the year, and you could definitely make that case. You know, it's interesting. Over the last 10 years in this round, home teams have gone 29-11. All right, so what that means is we're getting an average of basically one upset per year. Do I think there's going to be an upset? Well, let's see. All right, let's start with game number 1, the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens have not played their starters in about 3 weeks. Now, I would get a little bit worried about that, but this is a John Harbaugh coach team, and I got about as much confidence in him as I would any coach in the NFL. We know C.J. Stroud is fantastic. He has composure. He showed his poise going up against Cleveland, but now he's going on the road to a very difficult place to win, and that is Baltimore. He's going to be facing a defense that has been amazing. The Ravens have a league-high 60 sacks. Their defense ranked first in completion percentage allowed, pass yards per attempt, passer rating on deep passes, all kinds of stats. The Ravens ranked number 1. But more than that, the Ravens are 7-1 against teams with winning records. Plus, and if you like point differential, always a good way to evaluate a team. Since week 11, the Ravens have a plus 90 point differential, highest in the NFL. But I got to spend a minute and talk here about Lamar Jackson. You know, probably is going to be the league MVP. Definitely had a fantastic season. We've seen him grow almost year by year, but he has never really had playoff success. And now he's going to play his first postseason game in 3 years. Now, up to now, he's had 4 playoff starts. And in those 4 games, the Ravens are averaging a mere 13 points per game. Plus, the Ravens have lost 4 of their last 5 playoff games. Mark Andrews returning to the lineup would have been a major help, but he is not going to play this weekend. He may be back for the AFC Championship game if Baltimore advances. So, to me, what Lamar Jackson's going to have to do is use play action. All right, the Ravens used play action at the 7th highest rate in the regular season. About 26-27% of their passes were play action, and Jackson thrived with it. He ranked top 7 in the league in QBR, completion percentage, and the Texans, on the other hand, are terrible at defending the play action. They ranked in the bottom 5 in QBR, completion percentage, yards per attempt. So this is where Lamar Jackson's going to have to take advantage, because Houston has not shown the ability to counter, diagnose, and then defend the play action pass. And as for the Texans, you know what? They played 10 games this year against teams that finished with a winning record, and they went 7-3. So both these teams do very well against good teams. And in those 10 games, C.J. Stroud averaged over 300 yards passing while throwing 21 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. I mean, that's good for a 10-year veteran. For a rookie, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the thing with this, rookie quarterbacks, when they go against the John Harbaugh coached Ravens, are 2-18. I think this is where the run comes to an end. I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens at home to make the AFC Championship game. Game number 2, the Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers. This is going to mark the 3rd time in 5 years that these two teams have squared off in the playoffs, and it's their 10th playoff meeting in history. That is the most of any 2 teams in the NFL. To me, the Niners offense cannot be stopped for a full game. You know, San Francisco has a running back, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end, all of whom got 1,000 yards. That is the first time that has ever happened in the NFL. They've won 11 games by double digits. And San Francisco, they're running the ball incredibly well. No team has had more running plays of 10 yards or more than San Francisco 74. And if Green Bay has a weakness on that defense, it is playing against the run. The Cowboys didn't take advantage of it, but the Niners can. The Packers gave up the 5th most rushing yards in the NFL during the regular season. And now who are they going against? CMC, Christian McCaffrey, who in my mind, he should be definitely top 3 in the MVP voting. He led the league in rushing yards with 1,459. No other running back even had 1,200. That's how good he was. All right, so I don't know how the Green Bay is going to stop that. And even you have Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk. You know, the thing with Brandon Ayuk, he is averaging 3.3 yards per route run, 3rd in the NFL, only behind Tyreek Hill and Nico Collins this year. Amazing. I got a lot of respect for Green Bay and the fact that they were able to upset Dallas. But if they're going to win, a couple things are going to have to happen. Number one, Aaron Jones would have to dominate the way that he did last week. You know, Jordan Love is getting all this respect, all this recognition, and that's all well and good. But I feel like Aaron Jones was the one who really made that offense go, and he really got overlooked. And I really think that's a shame. But now he's going against Kinlaw and Warner at linebacker, and a very good defensive line. I don't think Jones is going to be able to do that again. And if you want some X factors, well, the Niners have won their last 5 home playoff games, longest active streak in the NFL. 2 of those wins coming against Green Bay. And I think the best chance really for Green Bay is that San Francisco comes out sluggish and comes out, after... putting away the number 1 seed rather early, are they going to come out guns a-blazing? If I'm San Francisco, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm preaching an early start. You want to put a young team like Green Bay away quickly. You do not want that team to have a chance to build confidence. So I'm going to take San Francisco at home. On to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions, the first game on Sunday. Man, not that I'm a betting man, but what were the odds I could have got on Tampa Bay making the divisional round? Must have been pretty good. One thing I want to mention with the Lions defense, I'm not going to start with their offense. I'm actually going to start with their defense. Aiden Hutchinson is on a 3-game multiple sack streak. And against the Tampa Bay offensive line, their tackles are registering about an 86% pass block win rate. That is below average. Hutchinson has the advantage. That can make a big difference for this defense. Now, Tampa Bay, they've won 6 of 7. When they beat Philadelphia, what did they do? They blitzed, they blitzed, they blitzed, they blitzed. As somebody who watched Todd Bowles tragically have to head coach my team for a few years, that's about all he would ever do. They blitzed on 40% of opponents' dropbacks during the regular season. It worked against the Eagles. And the thing with Jared Goff, the Lions quarterback, he has 7 turnovers under pressure, the second most in the league. But the problem that the Buccaneers have with the defense is twofold. Number one, they gave up the 4th most passing yards in the NFL during the regular season. Now, of course, the Eagles couldn't take advantage of that because they forgot how to play football at some point. But this week they're facing a hot Lions team that is averaging the 2nd most passing yards in the NFL this year. And number 2, Detroit has a great offensive line. As long as the Lions don't turn the football over, I don't really see a way Tampa Bay is going to win. And while Tampa Bay does have some very good playmakers in Rachaad White, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans, when he doesn't let touchdown passes go right through both hands, the Lions just have more. Amon-Ra St. Brown dominated Tampa Bay back in Week 6, 124 receiving yards. Can they contain him one-on-one? And even if they do, you've got Sam Laporte at tight end. He looked a little bit better last week. He was actually a bigger help in the running game than he was in the passing game. And now he's got a little more time to get healthy. Then you've got Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds. You've got a 1-2 punch at running back with Montgomery and Gibbs. I predicted at the beginning of the year, a lot of my picks before the season turned out to be terrible. I thought Cincinnati, I think I had Cincinnati making at least the AFC Championship game. That didn't work out well. But I thought the Lions would make the NFC Championship game, and I see no reason to change my mind. I had a little bit of doubt about them last week. They won by the slightest of margin, or I'm going to pick them to fulfill my prediction, and I'm going to say they get to the NFC Championship game. And finally, probably the main event of the weekend. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the Buffalo Bills. Probably the biggest toss-up for most of us. You know, the Bills won at Arrowhead earlier this year. The Bills have won 3 straight regular season games against the Chiefs, but they've also lost 2 straight playoff games to Kansas City. By the way, did you hear about Patrick Mahomes playing his first playoff game on the road this Sunday? I don't know. I don't know if anybody's actually mentioned that. Now, that's the narrative that everybody wants to seem to put first. But I'll tell you what, Mahomes wasn't exactly fazed by playing on the road in the regular season. He completed almost 70% of his passes, and he's 38-11 on the road in his career. All right, there is no other quarterback who has a better road record in their first 50 road starts going back to 1950. All right, so the road is not going to faze Mahomes. Now, the Bills should have a better offense by a wide margin, but the Chiefs, I think, might have the defense that could contain them. I don't care about the weather. You know, they held Miami to 21 points over 2 games. Kansas City's defense can play. But it does feel like the Bills are kind of built to beat Kansas City a little bit. Everything the Chiefs, had traditionally done well, throwing down the middle, Mahomes running a little bit, Isaiah Pacheco, his ability to run. The Bills are really built to neutralize it. Now when it comes to stopping the pass, the Chiefs defense surrendered the 4th fewest yards in the NFL this year. And a big reason for them, the reason why they had such a good pass defense, is they got 57 sacks, second highest total in the league. But I think when it comes to Buffalo's offensive passing game in this one, it's not going to be as much about Stephon Diggs or even Dalton Kincaid. I think Kansas City's biggest challenge might be James Cook. He had about 90 yards, the running back did, receiving the last time they played, and I just don't know what's really going on with Diggs. It's like they throw these short passes to him, but they don't really stretch the field with him. I wonder if Diggs is really healthy. All right, and another thing with the defense, this is going to bear some watching. I talked, if you were with me for my Wednesday night show, this past week, I talked about what I've really learned from the wild card games, and I really feel you don't need to have the best defense in the NFL, but you got to have one that takes advantage of its opportunities. And the thing with the Bills is they have 30 takeaways. Kansas City has only 17. That 17 is the second fewest in the NFL, only to the LA Rams. So Buffalo has that opportunistic defense, but that Bills defense is pretty beat up. I mentioned Stephon Diggs as far as offense goes. Diggs being injured. Gabe Davis, who's made some big plays in the playoffs, he's out at wide receiver. But the secondary is beat up. Rasul Douglas, Christian Benford, Taylor Rapp, probably Terrell Bernard, linebacker, all expected to miss this game. As a matter of fact, playing middle linebacker in this game, it's expected to be A.J. Klein, and he was cut 5 weeks ago. Okay, so the Bills defense is going to have a significant challenge stopping Kansas City, especially in the middle of the field, and maybe that's what Travis Kelce needs to have that renaissance moment. He hasn't been all that visible over the last couple of weeks, but this might be what he needs. Okay, plus you've got Rashee Rice emerging as that wide receiver the Chiefs have really, really needed against Miami. 8 catches for 130 yards. The Chiefs have 2 extra days of rest, so the Bills have that fatigue factor and the injury factor going against them too. You know what? I think a lot of people are taking the Bills, that this is going to be their moment. I think Kansas City ekes this one out. I'm going to give Kansas City the win, and I say it's going to be a Baltimore versus Kansas City AFC Championship game, and then San Francisco will host Detroit for the NFC Championship game. All right, guys, those are my picks. Let me see yours. Put them right down there in the comments. I hope everybody enjoys the games this weekend, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.